Picture this: you wake up tomorrow morning, grab your coffee, and suddenly realize that everything you've ever worried about, your career, your relationships, that embarrassing thing you said 5 years ago, exists within a time frame so brief that if the universe's entire history were a movie, your whole life wouldn't even register as a single frame. This isn't meant to depress you. It is meant to liberate you. Let's take a journey through time, but not the kind you are used to. We're going to zoom out so far that our entire human story becomes a whisper in a cosmic symphony that has been playing for nearly 14 billion years. Imagine the universe as a vast theater where the curtain first rose 13.8 billion years ago. Space itself exploded into existence, stretching and expanding faster than anything we can comprehend. Particles scattered like confetti across this newborn cosmos, and slowly gravity began its patient work of pulling things together. For billions of years, this cosmic dance continued. Stars ignited like distant campfires, galaxies swirled into existence like cream stirred into coffee, and somewhere in a quiet corner of an unremarkable galaxy, a small rocky planet began forming around an ordinary yellow star. This planet, our Earth, spent its early years as a violent, molten world. But time has a way of smoothing rough edges, and eventually something extraordinary happened. Life emerged, not with fanfare or announcement, but quietly, persistently, like a seed pushing through concrete. Here is where the story gets really interesting. If we compress the entire history of the universe into a single day, modern humans don't appear until the final second. Not the final minute, not even the final few seconds, literally the last second of that cosmic day. Your entire life. It occupies about 4/10,000ths of that final second. This perspective shift isn't just mathematical poetry. It is a profound reframe of what it means to be human. Every empire that has risen and fallen, every love story that has unfolded, every scientific breakthrough that has changed our understanding of reality, all of it happens within this cosmic blink. Carl Sagan captured this beautifully when he reflected on the famous pale blue dot photograph taken by Voyager 1. From billions of miles away, Earth appears as nothing more than a tiny speck suspended in a sunbeam. On that speck, Sagan reminded us, lived everyone we've ever known or heard of. Every hero and villain, every saint and sinner, every moment of triumph and tragedy in human history, all contained within that barely visible point of light. This cosmic perspective presents us with a fascinating paradox. On one hand, we are utterly insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Our planet is a grain of sand on an infinite beach. Our lives are shorter than a mayfly's when measured against cosmic time, and the universe will continue its expansion long after our sun has died and our galaxy has merged with others. Yet here is the beautiful contradiction. This insignificance doesn't diminish our experience, it amplifies it. Think about it this way. You didn't choose to exist. You didn't select your birth date, your location in the universe, or the specific arrangement of atoms that makes up your consciousness. Against astronomical odds, you simply found yourself here, aware, capable of love and wonder and creativity, of all the possible arrangements of matter and energy that could exist, of all the potential beings that never will be. Somehow the universe conspired to create you, right now. In this moment, with the capacity to contemplate your own existence and find meaning in the brief flicker of awareness you've been given. Your life unfolds like a flipbook animation. Each day, a new frame in a story that feels epic to you, but registers as barely a blip in cosmic time. You experience heartbreak that feels world-ending, achievements that seem monumental, fears that appear insurmountable, and they are all of these things within the context of your experience. But here is what the cosmic perspective teaches us. The intensity of your experience isn't diminished by its brevity. A sunset isn't less beautiful because it lasts only minutes. A piece of music isn't less moving because it eventually ends. Your capacity to love isn't less profound because your time here is limited. In fact, it is quite the opposite. The temporary nature of our existence is precisely what gives it weight and meaning. If we lived forever, would we treasure quiet moments with loved ones? If we had infinite time, would we feel the urgency to create, to connect, to make our brief presence here matter. Understanding our place in the universe cultivates a particular kind of humility, not the self-deprecating kind that diminishes our worth, but the expansive kind that puts our daily dramas into perspective. That argument you had with your partner last week, the promotion you didn't get, the social media post that didn't receive enough likes. These things matter to you, and that is completely valid. But they don't matter to the universe, and recognizing this can be profoundly freeing. This cosmic humility doesn't mean becoming passive or nihilistic. Instead, it means choosing more carefully what deserves your emotional energy. It means recognizing that most of the things we stress about are temporary blips in our already brief existence. One of the most equalizing aspects of the cosmic perspective is how it treats all human endeavors. Kings and peasants, celebrities and unknowns, the powerful and the powerless, we all occupy the same infinitesimal slice of cosmic time. History remembers some names longer than others, but even the most famous figures in human history will eventually be forgotten. In a few hundred years, the specific details of your life will be lost to time. In a few thousand years, even the most celebrated achievements of our era will be historical footnotes. In a few million years, our entire species may be extinct, replaced by something we can't even imagine. This isn't depressing, it is liberating. It means you don't have to achieve immortal fame to live a meaningful life. It means your worth isn't determined by how long you'll be remembered, but by how fully you experience the brief gift of consciousness you've been given. So what do we do with this knowledge? How do we live knowing that everything we build will eventually crumble, everyone we love will eventually die, and the universe itself may eventually fade into cold, empty darkness? We live anyway. We love anyway, we create anyway, because meaning isn't something we discover, it is something we create. The universe doesn't hand us a purpose, we craft one from the raw materials of our experience, our relationships, our capacity for wonder and compassion. Maybe your purpose is raising children who will carry forward your values and love. Maybe it is creating art that moves people, even if only for a moment. Maybe it is simply being kind to the people you encounter, adding a little more light to the world during your brief time here. The cosmic perspective doesn't diminish these purposes, it clarifies them. When you realize how rare and precious consciousness is, how unlikely your existence was, how brief your time here will be, suddenly the choice to love, to create, to connect becomes not just meaningful, but miraculous. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about being human is that we're the universe becoming aware of itself. Through our eyes, the cosmos contemplates its own existence. Through our minds, matter and energy achieve consciousness and wonder about their origins and destiny. You are literally made of star stuff. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, were all forged in the nuclear furnaces of dying stars billions of years ago. You are the universe's way of experiencing itself subjectively, of asking questions about meaning and purpose and beauty. This awareness comes with both privilege and responsibility. The privilege of experiencing wonder, love, creativity, and connection. The responsibility to make your brief existence count, not in terms of lasting fame or achievement, but in terms of how fully you embrace the gift of consciousness. There is something beautifully absurd about our situation. We're conscious beings on a small planet orbiting an ordinary star in an unremarkable galaxy, trying to make sense of our existence while hurtling through space at incredible speeds. We fall in love, write poetry, build civilizations, and contemplate infinity, all while knowing that our time here is cosmically brief. This absurdity isn't something to be solved or overcome. It is something to be embraced. It is the source of both humor and profundity, of both humility and wonder. We're simultaneously insignificant specks in a vast universe and the most complex, creative, conscious beings we know of. While our lives are brief in cosmic terms, we don't actually experience time cosmically. We experience it moment by moment, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat. And in each of these moments, we have the opportunity to be fully present, fully alive, fully engaged with the miracle of existence. The cosmic perspective doesn't ask us to live as if we're eternal. It asks us to live as if each moment matters because it does. Not to the universe, perhaps, but to us, and to the people whose lives we touch. While we won't live forever as individuals, we participate in something larger than ourselves. The atoms that make up your body will continue existing long after your consciousness fades. The love you share, the kindness you show, the ideas you contribute. These ripple outward in ways you may never fully understand. You are part of an unbroken chain of life that stretches back billions of years and will continue long after you are gone. Every person you influence, every moment of beauty you create or appreciate, every act of compassion you perform, becomes part of the ongoing story of consciousness in the universe. Ultimately, the cosmic perspective offers us a choice. We can be overwhelmed by our insignificance, or we can be amazed by our existence. We can be paralyzed by the brevity of life, or we can be motivated by its preciousness. The universe doesn't care what you choose, but you do, and the people around you do. And, in a cosmos that seems largely indifferent to our existence, the fact that we can choose to care, to love, to create meaning, that might be the most remarkable thing of all. So here you are, a temporary arrangement of atoms that has somehow achieved consciousness, living on a small planet during a brief moment in cosmic history. You didn't ask to be here, but you are. You won't be here long, but you are here now. What will you do with this impossible, improbable, precious gift of awareness? How will you spend your cosmic blink? The universe is waiting to see what you'll make of your brief moment in the sun. And while it may not remember your answer, you will. And that, perhaps, is enough.